Okay, so I did a video a little while ago that I recently posted up, and just move this closer so I'm not straining. Okay, and I mentioned the ancient mystery schools and the wine ceremony, and it piqued someone's interest, and they sent me a message and said, please, can you talk more about it? The slightest little bit of insight will help. And so I guess to really frame this properly, rather than just to go into more techniques, because I see a lot of people getting caught up in trying to learn new techniques, which is cool. I love new techniques, but we need to sort of frame it in the right way so we're not reliant on someone discovering more techniques for us to play with, but we can figure out, how to develop our own. Because it's not so much about the techniques themselves, it's about the thinking that gives rise to the techniques. So when I talk about the ancient mystery schools, I'm talking about a place or a state in mind, in time, where people are more focused on their spiritual evolution, their internal development, and how their mind, emotions, and body affect reality and the relationship between manifesting their reality. And for me, the ancient mystery schools were groups of people from that school of thought where that was the priority, that was the most important thing you could possibly be putting your energy into. And everything else was secondary. And so when you're coming from that perspective where it's the most important thing you can be doing and everything else comes from that, then it makes a lot more sense to, when you start putting your mind in those places, as to why the techniques were there and why the rituals and the ceremonies came up, and not to put your power into these rituals and ceremonies, but to understand the purpose behind them, and then you can start to develop your own rituals and ceremonies and practices and techniques. And so I'm going to assume that if you're watching this, you're an intelligent person who takes responsibility from themselves. And so I'm just going to throw out that this next few seconds is the disclaimer about, being responsible around drugs and alcohol and other types of devices and groups and things like that, and just to use your own counsel and your own discernment, and just be sensible. Like, don't be stupid, pretty much. You use these ceremonies, these rituals, these techniques, these groups as devices to be able to progress yourself through these levels and become a master at these levels. And so the wine ceremony, it doesn't have to be wine, it can be pretty much anything, let me see if I can bring up this quote that I wrote down. I did a little quick search on wine ceremony. Of course, there's nothing really on it unless you're talking about the wine industry. But if you look back in Greek mythology, Dionysus, the god of wine, and also known as the liberator, had a whole cult around him, and they say that it's a syncretism. The god Dionysus was a synchronistic. You know what I'm saying? It was a merge, a blend of several different deities, even relating it back to Osiris in ancient Egypt, another area where there was lots of mystery school, and it was steeped in all that sort of mysticism. So the the line that they said is that his wine music and ecstatic dance freed his followers from self-conscious fear and care. And this is just out of Wikipedia. You can look this up on Google. But the point is twofold. It's an internal and an external one. It's like, imagine a group of people who are focusing on changing their beliefs, their mindsets, their energy, their physiology and their reality. And they do all this work, over weeks, months, years, whatever. And every so often they sort of check in and put themselves through this experience known as the wine ceremony to shake things up a bit and see if all their work of changing their programming has effectively become unconscious competence, for one. So it means all the change work they've done is actually running in the background, and it doesn't need any conscious effort from them anymore to manifest itself. And secondly, is to see if there is any unconscious programming that is still hiding and tucked away in the dark corners of the mind that needs to be exposed, brought to awareness, and worked with. And so the idea is that you're in a group of people that you can trust, that are respectful of your boundaries and the way you set yourself up, and aren't going to go in there and toss the furniture around if you let them inside your temple, your house. They're going to take their shoes off. I just lost video. What's going on there? Let's stop this and start.